Hello and welcome. This is James from the DSO Imager channel. And tonight I'm going to show my workflow on a multi-wide field galaxy shot. Now I did a couple of things differently this time with this shot, and so be sure to watch this because I think this might be useful for a lot of folks, especially those that are running medium ranged focal lengths like this AT115 EDT that I use for this shot. Which has a focal length of 644 millimeters after with the 0.8 reducer. Now, a few days ago, I was watching a video by Quiv, the Lazy Geek. If you guys are not subscribed to him or not familiar with his channel, I can't imagine anyone watching my videos and not already be subscribed to him. But if not, definitely check him out. I'll put a link to this specific video in the description. But his video is covering the use of drizzling with BlurXterminator. By enabling drizzle when stacking your data, you will increase the resolution of the image. The drawback is that you do take a hit in your signal. So you want to make sure that the data is well sampled and that you use Dither during acquisition. Also, using drizzle significantly increases the file size. Though you can resample the images, which is one of the things that Quiv did in his video. Now remember, BlurXterminator works really well with oversampled data. Normally, I would not drizzle data that was captured with an image scale close to 1 arcsecond. My AT115 EDT, which is what I used for this image, I did use the 0.8 reducer, and the camera was the ASI 1600 mono. The image scale is 1.22 arcseconds. So normally I wouldn't drizzle this. Quiv's video demonstrates how drizzle gives BlurXterminator more data to work with. And so that's what we're going to do with this particular shot. Now, a funny thing with this shot, I've been sitting on this data for a little while, and I did process it. Let me pull it up right over here. Okay, so here are the 3 galaxies. And let me blow this up a little bit, just so if anyone's curious. This one right here is NGC 3681. We've got 3684 over here and 3686 right here. And this little guy over here is 3691. So this is my first attempt at processing this image. This is not drizzled. And I mean, it's a wide field shot, right? But you can kind of see how the detail breaks down here. And you can also see in the stars, right? I mean, normally you want to, drizzling reduces this blockiness. Now, I mean, zoomed out, looking at this picture at its normal scale, it's not very noticeable. And so that's why I would typically not drizzle this. Oh, and I did use BlurXterminator on this. So I decided after watching Quiv's video to see if using drizzle with BlurXterminator will pull more details, specifically out of these little galaxies here. So I'll run through the workflow now, and then at the end we can look at both versions. Alright, so real quick, here's the luminance. This is the drizzled data. Lots of stars in this. And real quick, I'll show the red. Here's green and the blue. Now, I did something else that I don't usually do, but I've started doing this with my Galaxy shots. What I did is I did an integration of the RGB and the luminance. Combine that all into a master luminance shot. And this is what I have, or this is the result here. And what I did is I kind of went through processing these in parallel to get an idea of which one would work better. And spoiler alert here, the master loom actually turned out better. Now you do see more of a gradient here in this master loom, and I'm pretty sure I know what happened. As this target rises, it comes out of my light dome. And so while it's closer to the light dome, I was grabbing the RGB data, and I kept the luminance, or I limited myself from taking luminance until it was a good bit away from that light dome. Right now, if we take a look, do a quick comparison here. Right off the bat, I'm seeing more stars on the right side. And keep in mind, again, for a BlurXterminator on this Drizzle data, we do want increased signal. And so that's one of my motivating reasons for trying this master loom or master integration. Alright, and so I ran dynamic background extraction, and then I put BlurXterminator on these, and this is what we have. So zoomed in already. The left is the regular loom, and the right is the master loom. And the one thing that I noticed is that there was less noise with the master loom. And we're already seeing some pretty good detail in NGC 3686 here. And the stars are definitely not as blocky as they were before. Alright, so anyway, I went ahead and proceeded to work with this master loom. Now you can see here I used StarXterminator to remove the stars. I did save these luminant stars, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And then I stretched it. And so this is where we're at with our luminance here. Pretty cool seeing how many galaxies there are in this area. Lots and lots of tiny galaxies. I'm in a Bortle 5, so Bortle 5 with 115 millimeter refractor picking up all these little galaxies is kind of cool. Now with the color, you can see here I ran dynamic background extraction against each of those, and then I also ran color calibration. I used SPCC, spectrophotometric color calibration. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see me do a short video specific to using this color calibration method. I think there's some stuff out there, but if anyone still has questions, I'd be happy to do that. Alright, and so this one I also ran BlurXterminator against, and then I removed the stars. That's what we have. You can see this is really soft. So the last step, I stretched this, and for stretching I just did the old school histogram. But with LRGB, what I do with the RGB is after I stretch it, I blur it out like this. And what this does is it eliminates any color noise before adding the luminance data to it. And for blurring this out, I actually just used Noise Exterminator. And let me pull it up here real quick. And for this blurring the color data, I just maxed out the denoise and took away all details. And yeah, did a nice job. So after that, I added the luminance. And this is what we have. And so after that is a bunch of curves work with some masks, and this is what I ended up with for a starless image. Alright, so next it was time to work on the stars, and this is where things get interesting. I've done this once before in another shot, and I decided to try it here, and that is by adding the luminance stars to the RGB stars. Because remember, I removed the stars individually from the luminance channel and the RGB image. Now the thing is, I was struck by how many stars were showing up in that master luminance issue. And the galaxies in this shot are really small. So I think with that first image that I processed without the drizzle, I was trying to make the galaxies the focal point of the image. But they're really small. And this time around I decided to emphasize the stars a bit more and make them equally weighted in the final picture. And this is why I wanted to utilize the luminance stars. So here we have the luminance stars unstretched, and here are the RGB stars, and also unstretched. Alright, so what I did is I converted the luminance stars to RGB status. Right, so I mean the way I did that is just have the luminance and then just go to color spaces and it's RGB now, but I converted it to RGB scale. Now that doesn't automatically give it color. You can see that this has been converted to RGB scale and it's still pretty much black and white. But what that allows now is that when I add it to the RGB stars and boost the saturation, we start to get color out of all these stars. Alright, so the sum of these two star images was this here. And so you can see right off the bat that some of the color from the RGB stars is retained. Right, you can see some faint colors in there. And then after using arc sine stretch and normal histogram stretch and curves, we have plenty of color in here. And there's a lot of them. And there's lots of stars, and they're all pretty tight, which, you know, I like my stars very tight. I want them to be pinpoints. Alright, and so the first pass at this data was this shot right here. Let me grab that original test shot first real fast here. And we'll do a quick comparison here. Let's get these out of the way. Right, now you can already see the difference with the stars, right? In this original shot, I was trying to de-emphasize the stars, as I said, to make the galaxy stand out. And this time I embraced the stars. And I really like the way this busier field looks here. And now let's see if the drizzling did in fact get the job done here. So yeah, I mean, I think it definitely paid off. The details are much better in these galaxies. I mean, it's still a wide field shot, right? So I mean, this isn't going to be like, you know, what I would expect to see with my edge. But yeah, still huge difference. Yeah, I mean, look how blocky this is. Look how blocky the stars are. And all these details are lost. Alright, so anyway, this was definitely worth it as far as the drizzle is concerned. I got to this point and then I did my usual 24-hour cooldown. And as usual, I decided to make some tweaks, and I came back and I did this as my second pass. Let's do a quick comparison here. So very similar, right? Can you see the difference? Basically, I felt like in this first pass, the stars were maybe a little bit too big. So this pass here, I shrank the stars a little bit. And what I did, you got a mask here. Here it is, star mask. So I created this star mask just using the regular mask generation star mask. Let's see if my settings are still in there. Yeah. So what I wanted to do was pull back on the size of the medium and large stars, but I didn't want to dim out any of the really little stars. So I created this mask that would not impact the smallest stars and just pulled back on it. And so, yeah, I mean, these big stars are a little bit tighter, and you can definitely see that they're a little bit smaller. So, I don't know. I also increased the contrast here. The background's a little bit darker than it is on this one. So, to be honest, I'm not sure which one I like more. We'll see which one gets on Astrobin. But you guys let me know in the comments which you think is better. Alright, so to recap, three things that are relatively new in my workflow. I did a master loom by doing an integration of luminance and RGB. I used Drizzle and BlurXterminator to squeeze out as much resolution as I could with this wide field shot with these tiny little galaxies. And then I combined luminance stars with RGB stars to enhance the star field. So I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Drop your notes down there if you have any suggestions or maybe a different way of doing this, maybe with the stars. Other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then clear skies.